Hello, YouTubers. My name is X Factor, and you're looking at Operation Whiteout, Conquest Size Large from the DICE event, where we got to record and capture Final Stand. And I got to play alongside Jackfrags, who sat next to me again. There's other YouTubers such as Chaboy, Level Cap, Ponyline, and many others, along with DICE developers playing alongside with us, their Q&A team, and of course Dan Mitre, the community manager, and EA Action Man, the other Dan from across the pond. We had a blast. We're all in a little pit, all on computers that were very close to each other. We could communicate with each other a lot. I actually worked a lot with Jackfrags once he got in the squad, and there's some actually funny moments from this because we're trying to figure out these maps and where to go and the fluidity between them and where the snowmobiles are, and more importantly, the power of the scrub cannon. And I'm sure you guys already know this is something that's broke. JJJU has already commented on it in the CTE forums, but it is hilarious. There's actually a spot coming up where I get to use the railgun, trying to figure out how that works, because it was kind of a struggle. We got in these maps. We got our DX loaded up and working. We updated the drivers on these PCs, and we just went to town. This is the first map that we got to jump into. So you're actually going to see the server fill up, and there's Daskrow's hover tank again. This is a very, very defensive vehicle, unless it's low on health. Extremely agile, and you can turn it very quickly. When you're playing a typical tank, you have to worry about that ass shot, and the base of the tank can only turn so fast. Not these guys. You could snap around and do a 180. So you think you're going to get hit in the rear, just spin around quickly, maybe pop APS, mitigate that damage. They're unbelievable. But they're very tough to aim because you can't adjust the upper turret. You adjust the full body, and then you can go up and down with the turret, unless you're the secondary gunner. So it's very tough. One of the comments I had when we did our Q&A session with the developers is you feel every bump. Well, in Battlefield 4, you could feel every bump in the LAVs and the tanks and all the holes in the ground for the mines and the slams, but you can adjust your turret in every imaginable direction, left, right, up, and down. With this thing, you can't. And this is the good old scrub cannon, the SR-42, and I told them as I kill somebody in the helicopter, and this is when we're literally just in this game and finding out how powerful this thing is. We're 5 minutes into this event. I'm like, oh my god, this thing is amazing. And just for the lulz, I'm going to hit the enemy vehicle and knock it over. Can't do damage to it, but I can knock it over and help our hover tank. So the hover tank is going to get tweaked a little bit. Highly, highly defensive. You can bait people into spending their ammo. And here I am on the scrub cannon, and I am dying laughing at this point. Jackfrags is right next to me, and we're working on this point. He's not in my squad yet, and we're kind of making call-outs. Hey, they're mid-flag. I need help, and I'm just lighting people up. It's a one-shot body shot, and of course, if you get that headshot, you just get a little bit of bonus there, and I'm laughing my ass off. I wish I had a mic. I think the next event I do, because they've upgraded their computers, I'm going to talk about that in a second, and everybody's just dying right now, is I'm going to plug my mic in, because I chose not to use their capture card as I get a multi-kill there underneath the trailer, and obviously you can see this thing reloads pretty quickly, and somebody's trying to sneak up on me, trying to pay attention to my mini-map. There is not an alternate zoom level. It's just a single zoom level, and that's enough to basically knock out any jet or transport chopper, and somebody wants to head peek, and they're basically dead. So the computers were improved a little bit. They used to have these old school resolution monitors, which were horrible, had horrible input lag. Then, of course, and I think I took splash damage from that. Of course, this thing's broke. They've already talked about it. But I'm going to rack up as many kills as possible here. So I actually, as Dasker removes me with the bomber, which is kind of clutch on his part because I sat there for a while. So these computers, they got brand new BenQ 144 monitors. Unbelievable, gorgeous monitors, 24 inches, absolute gorgeous monitors. And actually, the upgrade to what I have, I've got their 120s and those with 140. So I sat down by a computer, and you don't know what's in these things. You just sit down, and I saw 2 video cards. I'm like, oh man, it's going to be a lot better. So didn't use the capture card because I didn't want input lag, because the capture card, the device limits you to 60 FPS because you're going through HDMI. Well, I wanted to use the DVI cable so I wouldn't limit my frame. So Jackfrags hooked me up with his DX install because I forgot mine. And Jackfrags is doing some work, pro pilot, trying to get them off the scrub cannon because that thing will just rip us a new ass as I actually go for knife kill. So I got 2 AMD GPUs and an AMD CPU, and I actually averaged 60 frames But the way these computers were set up, I had to straddle this thing beneath my legs because these desks, we were at workstations, and my God, was it hot. It was an absolute desert inferno between my legs. And here I finally found the railgun. A couple of the developers were behind us. Is like, wait a minute, do I wait for it to lock on or do I tap it? Well, the pro thing to do is find a target, tap it, and then it starts that charge. Don't just sit on them, right? So if you know somebody's there, before your peak, tap it, let it go. And we also talked about the variable optic on this thing. The developers, they might tweak this down to like a 6-time optic and then like a 12 or 14 because it's just too high for the close quarter stuff. If you miss your shot, you're absolutely dead. Not to mention it takes quite a while to charge this thing. But it's actually a lot of fun to use. It can do a lot of damage to helicopters. But I didn't know at this point. You know, I heard Jack kind of laughing later in this round or another round that we played, and he was just ripping people out of helicopters. And I think destroying the helicopters themselves, I'm not too sure. So here's what this map does. There are infantry-centric cover all over the place. There's a lot of 2-story buildings, concrete, almost storage facilities, and right there, these are free kills. And I have to figure it out. Well, do I charge it up or do I peek? And I'm still struggling with it. I'm like, wait a minute. This thing, you don't have to worry about it locking on because you could sit on a body, and I think it goes through that motion. So I'm still struggling with this thing. But again, figure out where they're at, pre-charge it, and as you peek out, just drop that bomb on them. And I'm trying to figure out the sensitivity of this thing because it feels really weird because I'm obviously not used to optics of that measure. I'm used to my funky and kind of crazy 7-time optic, and I'm not exactly sure what I was shooting at there because I charged it, figured out, oh, wait a minute, I can hit this thing, and that was kind of like the light bulb moment. So I had the Desert Inferno AMD CPU or GPUs between my legs. So that was hot. But I averaged 60 frames. I had some dips, but not a whole lot. Maxed out around 80 frames, and obviously you could feel that. When you're playing at 40 frames, to control recoil is kind of a beast because you just don't have enough frames to do it. When you get to 80, it starts to get buttery smooth. It feels really good. And here's some of that hover tank. I never use my primary shell to kill infantry, but with this thing, you really have to. Because it's so hard to get that crosshair on top of the infantry and keep it there. Because obviously if you're using the HMG, it takes a couple shots, or the LMG, which I'm using right now because I forgot to set this thing up. So this is default. I don't have APS. I don't have anything else. So I'm trying to pillar and stay as mobile with that other LAV or tank kind of looking at me. And that's the strong suit of this thing. I kind of talked about that before, is you can bait people into taking shots. Side strafing is the power of this thing, and using cover just like this little guard shack. Landing my shots, hitting them for 41, and just kind of bumping into everything and filling every single bump. So it's got this slow movement at first, but if you start moving your mouse, there's this massive acceleration, and you can seriously flick this thing around almost like it's infantry. It's actually a lot of fun to use, but it's going to be better in the wide open spaces where you can easily close the gap between the bad tank and your tank, because you simply make them miss. If you can dance all day, you're going to have them blowing their ammo. And here I'm going to pick up the rifle here. And I don't know the setup here, but it's going to bail me out because I get too close to somebody, and the old Juan Deeg saves me in CTE. This is the adjusted Juan Deeg. Not as accurate, a heck of a lot less velocity, which can definitely get you in trouble. And the vaulting all day, every day, using the MPX, something I picked up off a dead body. And there's a kill trade on EA Action Man, a.k.a. Dan from across the pond, doing some work in the server here. And the flag's flashing. Got to try to get to it. This is kind of a funny death. Kill somebody on the jet ski, or not the jet ski, the snowmobile here. Get the 2-bag, and then just look. I think he wants a high five. Just it's kind of hilarious. I go back to the body. It's like, you what, mate? Just kind of standing there. Another cool thing I saw the CTE developers do is they found a bug while we were playing with the snowmobile. And we were in one of our Q&A sessions, and it was JJJU, and another guy came in, and they were squashing a bug just that quick. Another thing you're going to notice is voice callouts. When your teammates do stuff like med pack thrown, and they say enemy over there, or enemy spotted, or, you know, I'm getting my stuff pushed in, only your teammates are going to hear that now. The enemy is not going to hear that now. So instead of your guy blurting out stupid stuff that you don't want him to do, you don't have to worry about that. And that's why I don't knife, because it's quicker to kill them with bullets, trying to work on a quick trade kill. And I don't have my helicopter set up, So this is a little minigun footage at the end as we're getting locked on from multiple angles. But I had a ton of fun on this map. They're fixing the snow stuff. When you're inside, you see the snow. They are fixing that. And obviously, they're working on some of the bugs with the hover tank as Daskro almost lights us up. I told him, you know, like, woo! Nice shot. He almost hit us. So I really like how this plays out. There's lots of cover on these flags. And, of course, they're fixing the scrub cannon. Have some fun with that before that thing gets nerfed into oblivion. They say it should take about 4 shots at range to kill infantry. Of course, with one up close. And what's a little bit of Battlefield 4 without a RPG on a transport chopper? Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I have more footage early in the morning for the next map where we can upload it. We'll see you soon, YouTubers.